Do you remember buying your first car, moving out of home for the first time, losing your virginity, your first heartbreak, maybe even that first drink? These rites of passage help shape who we are and mark important transitions in our journey through life.
One of the first records I ever listened to was Never Mind the Bollocks from Sex Pistols. And the first one I ever bought was the first Led Zeppelin album, because my dad was a huge fan and I really loved his record collection. But when I moved on my own, I never had a record player for a while, only a CD player, and I remember buying the first Led Zeppelin album on CD, because I just loved those artworks and everything, and I wanted to have my own.
The Bay City Rollers, and I have to go back to grade school, actually. It was grade school, I think. And I saved up my allowance because I knew that I wanted that song or that album. And I don't remember even the exact name of the album. I remember it had pictures of the guys on the cover. It had a song, Saturday Night, that I guess probably a lot of people would still remember, SATUR. I used to scream it in the playgrounds with my friends. And I had a huge crush on one of the band members, Woody.
I remember buying the Rankin Family. I was in HNV, and they were playing a video, North Country, their title song from the album, North Country. And then I think 1 or 2 days later on Sunday, they had a special on CBC, Rita McNeil Presents, and Rankin Family was one of the guests, and they performed Rise Again, another song from the same album. I like that song, so that's between those two songs that made me decide to buy the album. When I bought the album, I liked all the songs on the album. Rankin Family is very significant in my life because I became a private dancer. I'm dancing in my own bedroom and no one's seeing me dance, right? The fiddle music was fast and that made me want to dance, right? So it started off with them, and then from there I moved into dancing in public or during wedding receptions. The fact that that album got me on my shell, that made me be successful in my first job, right? Because it was all about providing customer service, right? Talking to people, right?
My first album was Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet, and I think I was 12 or 13 when I got it. And my first CD was Depeche Mode Violator, and I think I was 16. I remember my dad being quite proud of me because he's a big music fan and he's always been into rock and roll, and I always listened to his vinyl. He had quite an extensive collection, and he just kind of felt like I was joining that world of appreciation for music, and yeah, he was always quite supportive and still is with regards to music. With the CD, I think I bought it when I was visiting my grandparents in Germany, and they thought it was a waste of money because I actually bought the CD without a CD player, hoping that my grandparents would buy me the CD player. Didn't happen.
Probably it would have been, when I was younger, like Shania Twain. I love Shania Twain. She was an all-time favorite of mine, even before I went through the rock phase, and even on till now. I'm 26 years old and I still love Shania's work. I think it was The Woman in Me. I think it was released in '94. And I probably was 5 or 6 years old, and I don't know if it was a gift or something, but we used to play Shania, and I still love it. I still love Shania. She's classic. I say to this day, to me, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I just think her story and everything is so great, I've read her biography, and, she's from Timmins, Ontario, and her story is just so unique and everything. So
as embarrassing as it is, my first album CD that I ever bought was Crisscross, totally crossed out now. I don't know if you remember that album, but the backwards jeans and the backwards shirts, and Yeah, I think I was pretty proud to purchase that album. And that was the first one I've ever purchased.
My dad brought home a record player with a whole bunch of old 78s in it, right? And they had Will Carter's in there and all that sort of stuff, which I loved. But my first very own record was a Ricky Nelson record that my mom had bought for me called It's Late. I really wanted the other one, but she couldn't get it in the catalog. What was that one called? Poor Little Fool. And that was, like, I wasn't a Presley fan, I was a Ricky Nelson fan. You're kind of one or the other in those days, right? Yeah, played the grooves right out of it, I'm sure.
My brother was a huge fan of Styx, so he actually bought me my first album. I was in grade 6 and it was Styx Grand Illusion. But the first album that I actually bought for myself was The Village People. I love The Village People. I still love The Village People. It was the album with, you know, that song, Macho, Macho Man, and the YMCA song, and I loved it. I loved dancing to it, I loved listening to it. And I think the other one that I bought around that same time was a 45. It was just a little bit after that. And it was that song by the Flying Lizards, The Best Things in Life Are Free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. I want money, ooh, 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 ooh. That's what I want. And I remember it was such a cool song, and we were in maybe grade 8 or grade 9.
It was a Pink album, actually. She was my favorite, she still is, actually. I seen her in concert last year and I was like, yay! Just like fulfilled my dream from when I was a little teenager. And I think I was like, 11, I think, when I bought it. I still have it.
The first album I bought, I can't really remember, although I do know the first music I listened to was The Doors and Santana, because I have a sister who's 10 years older, and she was listening to them all the time. So Santana and The Doors and the Rolling Stones were my first favorite bands.
I remember one of the first CDs that I ever got was the Beavis and Butthead soundtrack. And I remember, I didn't even watch Beavis and Butthead at the time, but I thought they were cool seeing them on commercials and stuff like that. And I remember the music was a lot of like heavy metal, Pantera, bands like that I wasn't into, and I just listened to it because I thought it was cool. And I don't even think I really enjoyed the music, but I distinctly remember getting that CD the first time as a gift and just having the picture of Beavis and Butthead on it, and vividly remember that experience.
The first album I got was Ice Cube's first album. It was called America's Most Wanted, but it was America spelled with KKK. And I was in the 3rd grade, and at that time, rap music at the school was banned, so we couldn't listen to it. So I had older siblings, and they're the ones that kind of bootlegged it for me. And yeah, it was like an awesome album. It was political gangster rap. And during that time, there was a lot of things going on in the world, especially in America, which was the Rodney King beating. And that album, in my opinion, kind of like predicted all that stuff, you know what I mean? So the album was very important to me, musically and politically. So.
To watch more stories or share your story, visit us at yourfirstkiss.ca.